per speaker. I would encourage those that do wish to speak to be mindful of others and that wish to do the same, so that we can make the most of the time allotted and hear from as many people as possible. Anyone who does not wish to speak or who is unable to speak due to the time limit may submit their comments in writing for the board's review and consideration. And we will have the next open office hours on Tuesday, I believe it's July 30th, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the Sala meeting room on a Tuesday. So with that being said, I have a few people who have raised their hands. So first I will go to Ms. Lombardi.
Okay, am I okay?
You are all set, Ms. Lombardi.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'd just like to say, since the murder of John O'Keefe, this town has been deeply divided. Instead of seeing improvement, we continue the downward spiral of destruction. At last week's select board meeting, the division was amplified when a group of entitled townies who refer to themselves as Canton First decided to rally others to attend the meeting for the sole purpose of heckling and bullying peaceful and passionate citizens, seeking truth and accountability from our leaders. Much to their satisfaction, they were successful in their efforts to wreak havoc and did so without consequences, a familiar theme in Canton. They successfully kept the focus on Jen O'Donnell while continuing to heckle her without any de-escalation efforts from the retired police detective hired to stand guard in the meeting. While she was asking him if he was going to do his job and uphold the same meeting room standards to the hecklers, he ignored the bullies, assaulted her, and made her leave the meeting. I did hear that after the meeting, he spoke gently to some of the bullies. It was a double standard. It is important to note that last week, the same group of entitled townies, Canton First, also circulated a toxic letter collecting endorsement signatures declaring their independence from my publicly expressed views and opinions. While they failed the publication in the Canton Citizen, their letter and ad hoc signatures ended up all over Twitter and social media for the world to see. While the letter was toxic, by signing it, the individuals inadvertently provided valuable information for the world to see. Nearly all of the valid voter names are employees or family and friends of employees of the town of Canton. The behavior of these Canton First town employees speaks volumes about the serious lack of leadership and culture that exists in this town. There are two groups of citizens in this town: the emboldened and entitled townies who fear no consequences for their behavior. They can be as lawless as they want, no problem. The leaders of this town, their friends and family, will always look the other way. The other group is the rest of the community, also known as random citizens. We don't have the same protections and rules as the entitled townies. If something happens, we pray for a miracle because we know we can not count on the town to provide services equitably. We witness this time and time again with two sets of standards, and it's just not fair. And then a few meetings ago, we shared that the 15-minute, 3-minute timer and the fact that we don't feel the select board is listening has an enormous impact on anxiety levels in the room. You reluctantly agreed to increase it to 20 minutes and not use the timer. We felt progress had been made until we learned the following meeting, it went back to the 15 minutes and the timer, which increases anxiety. Leaders who have failed to fulfill their oaths of office will be held accountable. The facts and the science tell the truth. There will be a higher authority that they will need to answer to. But for the select board, I ask you, please, let's work together to restore trust and safety in this community. I would like to propose that we begin a partnership where—
Thank you, Ms. Lombardi.
Okay, can I just finish that last sentence?
Your last sentence, 10 seconds.
Okay, I would like us to work together. I would like us to partner with the select board, come together and talk and listen and exchange ideas from the way forward for us. That is my plea.
Thank you, Ms. Lombardi. Next, Ms. Mead. Give it a second just for you to be unmuted.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay. Thank you. Peg Mead, 9 Cynthia Road. I'm also a library trustee, and I'm just going to ask, I'd like to give an update on what's going on at the library. We've had a lot of questions about the scaffolding outside. Would that be appropriate?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make it quick. The library is embarked on a big project called the Next Chapter. And chapter 1 is replacing the roof and the HVAC system, and that is why we have the scaffolding all around the library. There's also damage to some of the historic cornices on the library that are being fixed as well. And the project is due to be complete by the December holidays. The library is open. We do have reduced hours on Saturday through the summer from 10 to 2, and we are not open on Sundays, which we have never been. We're especially happy. Our HVAC system completely died during the first bout of 90-degree weather a month ago, and we were able to get a very large temporary air conditioning unit, which is in the staff parking lot, if anybody is looking there, because the library is a cooling center for the town. So the project is under the Building Renovation Committee, and we're very grateful to all of them. And also want to say thanks to Brian Lynch, the support of the Select Board, especially J.R. McCord. Thank you so much, J.R. Our Library Director, Andrea Capone, and the staff of the library for what we're going through here. And if anybody has any questions, they can go to the library website, and there is a button on the main page that says the Next Chapter. And if you click on that, there's all sorts of information about what we're doing at the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg. Next, Mr. Young. Give it just a second. There you are, sir.
Hi, thank you. I think I'm unmuted. I'd just like to know why we're not getting very much time to respond to questions, etc. I've lived here for a very long time, and I think it's very, very important that everyone is entitled to an opinion. You stated at the start of this that you're not responding, etc. And I'd like to know why. And I think that's probably on behalf of almost everyone that's listening.
So thank you, Mr. Young. The public comment is just that. It's a public comment for the public to express their opinions. It is not a back and forth.
Okay, so I'll pass to the next person. It's disappointing. I thought this was I thought we were kilometer or something, but obviously not. But thank you for responding.
Thank you, sir. Mr. McIntyre.
Well, Scott McIntyre from Top Mark Media, just asking if we can get the viewers on screen so we can see them speak.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, Scott McIntyre from Top Mark Media, just asking if we can get the viewers on screen so we can see them speak.
The other viewers on screen?
Yeah, we're just seeing you instead of the people that want to.
So that's how it's set up, and then anybody else that is speaking on the select board will also show up. But not during public comment. All right. There are a couple of people that have their hands up. Please enter your name correctly, or you will not be called on. So, Mr. Allen, give it a second, sir.
Hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you guys all know that we're watching from Western Massachusetts, a bunch of us, and we are not impressed. Not with your town leadership, not with the handling of the Karen Reed case. It's an absolute embarrassment on behalf of the rest of the state. Just want to let you know that the other half of the state is in tune. We see what's happening. We're not impressed. We actually think it's an absolute joke. Even our local media has picked it up. We even have our own little standouts, and we see how you guys handle your meetings very differently than anywhere else I've ever seen or been. And you guys honestly should like maybe retool it, because you're absolutely an embarrassment on behalf of the state of Massachusetts. That's about all.
Thank you. Next is Barbie Callahan. Give it 1 second. Ms. Callahan, you don't need to unmute. We can control that on this end. All right, well, Ms. Callahan, unfortunately, we weren't able to connect. And that does conclude the public comment period. As I mentioned before, if anybody has additional comments, please feel free to attend the open office hours or send the select board an email. That being said, next on the agenda, Mr. Albert.
All right, first up for tonight's agenda, at the recommendation of the town administrator and human resource director, I move that the board approve the assistant town administrator job description in the appointment of the assistant town administrator, Jennifer Chameleon.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we need to do a roll call vote. So Mr. McCourt,
Aye.
Ms. Boyden,
Aye.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
and Mr. Albert.
Yes.
And the chair as well. It passes unanimously 5-0.
Okay, next on the
Mr. Albert.
agenda, these personal service contracts that are for 3 years. I move that the board approve the personal service contract for the deputy chief.
Do I have a
Deputy Fire
second?
chief.
Do I have a second for the deputy fire chief?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 5-0. Mr. McCourt,
Aye.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0. Next, Mr. Albert.
The next is I move that the board approve the personal service contract for the library director.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Mr. McCourt? Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
All right, next on the agenda is the Walpole Terrace notice of violation.
All right, do we have anybody here from F&F Power Equipment? If so, please raise your hand. Just going through the list here just to see. All right, so I don't see the owner of F&F Power Equipment here. As the board knows, we talked about this in executive session. F&F Power Equipment is storing product on a public way, which is a violation of our town bylaws. Specifically, it is a violation of Article 14, Section 2 of the general bylaws, which prohibits obstruction of public ways and sidewalks at 40 Walpole Terrace. So I would be looking for a motion to issue a notice of violation to Farrington Power Equipment Incorporated, doing business as F&F Power Equipment for violation of Article 14, Section 2 of the general bylaws, which prohibits obstruction of public ways and sidewalks at 40 Walpole Terrace, and to authorize town council to take action to enforce that bylaw as necessary. So, I have a motion.
moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. 5-0. Mr. McCourt. Mr. McCourt? We'll come back to you. You're frozen. Mr. Albert,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
and Mr. Conley?
Yes.
All right, so, Laurie, if we can vote that 4-0, 1 and have Mr. McCourt abstaining while he's having, technical difficulties. So 4-0-1.
All right, next on the agenda, at the recommendation of the Human Resource Director and the Superintendent of Public Works, I move that the board approve the appointment of Water Sewer Coordinator Susan Langen. Sorry about that.
That's right. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
Okay, next on the agenda, this is a reappointment. I move that the board approve the reappointment to the Cultural Council, Lean Fan.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
Okay, next is, this is an application that received due to the vacancy on this committee with a couple other committees. But I move that the board approve the appointment to the Cable Advisory Board, Peter Hennessy.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. As Mr. Albert said there was a vacancy on this committee. We did put it out. We made an announcement. Mr. Hennessy was the only one that applied, but he worked in the TV industry before, so I'm sure he'll do fine. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Abstain.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well. It passes 4-0-1.
Okay, next on the agenda is the same thing. This is another vacancy on a committee. I move that the board approve the appointment to the Veterans Council, Peter Hennessy.
All right, so same deal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Abstain.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
and Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well. It passes 4-0-1.
All right, next on the agenda, I move that the board approve the FY24 Safe and Senior Grant for the Fire Department in the amount of $8,081.72.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0. Congrats to the fire department.
All right. Next on the agenda, I move that the board accept and authorize the use of the gift in accordance with the terms thereof under Mass General Law 44, subsection 53A, $3,000 from HESCO as a stipend for Shine expenses, serving health insurance needs for the Department of Elder and Human Services.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
Okay, next on the agenda, I move that the board approve the request to hold the Canton Fall Classic Road Race, October 27th, 2024, in front of I'm gonna botch this, but B'nai Tekva Temple, 1301 Washington Street, and application for a one-day entertainment permit for a DJ contingent upon police and fire approval.
second,
Motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Duty, do they pay a permit fee for that? Typically, do you know, are you aware?
Yes,
Okay, they never ask us to waive it?
they haven't, but certainly it would be something we would consider.
Okay. What is the fee? I'm sorry, is it the like $40, $50 fee?
I think it's $50.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. McCourt,
yes,
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
All right, next on the agenda, I don't know if JR wants to handle this one.
Yeah, JR, do you want to talk on what this request is, if you don't mind?
yes, this is the, for the Paul Revere bathrooms on the town of Canton Park down at the Paul Revere Heritage Site. Basically, when all the costs came in for the construction of the unit installation and everything, we basically were underfunded and still are underfunded about $31,597.62. And Mr. Chair, I didn't give you a printout of this, but it will be available to you. Basically breaking down the costs. When I came before the board in December 27th, I had asked for $90,000 to get this project finished. At that time, I didn't have the full spreadsheet with me of money that was already expended on the site. By the DPW in their kindness had done a lot of work on the site to bring utilities to the site. And those, the materials for that were on a different spreadsheet. I didn't have them. However, I had met with Randy Scollins and we went through this whole project completely. And the additional costs that the overruns are not, they're normal costs. They're normal costs in a project of this size. And had this gone through the BRC and its normal procedures, this would have been covered all under a contingency. So with that said, on the spreadsheet, the actual bathroom prefab cost was $163,105. That was the contract cost that was negotiated by the town and CXT. The installation, the initial bid, the process came out, that was $99,650. The town-related work had totaled $25,332, meaning basically the subtotal of that is $288. The additional cost that occurred also was an architect stamped drawing, and that was based on the building department requiring a frost wall and footing for this building to be built on instead of just stone. That was $850. There's another cost which I have to look into, which is a $900 building permit. Usually on these projects, that's waived. So I would like to look into this a little bit more to see if that was paid or what the status is for that. There was $2,300 in soil testing. That's when the excavation happened and when they were building up the interior of the foundation. There was a $2,413 water tap that was tapping into the main. There was ledge removal. And another code issue was a roof over the outside water fountain. Those were pretty small costs. The larger cost was plumbing relocation and additional asphalt and sidewalk renovations. That was due to the water main being in a place that was basically 4 to 5 feet where it was drawn in the plan where the foundation was to be put. So the whole building shifted, causing some issues with the sidewalks and all the plumbing and related parts of this project, which once again is not uncommon when we're doing excavation, you find it. Particular items like ledge, and when you have to move things, pipes have to be moved with it. So with that said, the grand total cost of this project was $331,597.62. With that said, we have a $31,597.62 shortfall. However, good news came into my meetings is that when I requested $20,000 for the JFK project completion with the change order, there was a difference between the change order that I believed was there in what the town accountant had thought was there. And we saved $15,619.81 that we didn't have to use of that mitigation account. So with that, we need about $16,000 to put this project to bed and call it a day. If I calculated the cost of $331,000 and I put a 15% contingency, the BRC normally would do, that would be about $49,000. This overage is well within the 15% contingency that would have been. So I'm recommending that this board appropriate the $16,000 for mitigation and to take the remaining from the JFK mitigation and put this to this account so that this project can be put to rest. The town can own it completely. It's paid in full, and that we move on.
Thank you.
I
Mr.
will
Moon.
take any questions you have on them.
Well, here they come.
Here they come.
Why wasn't the BRC involved in this project?
This project was initially a project by the Paul Revere Heritage Site, or that group. And they had approached the CPA for funding on this project, and they had requested $210,000 at the time. At the time, they had a price of the unit at $162,000. They also thought
Over here, so you don't get hit on the sidewalk.
All right, I'm live. It's 7 o'clock, selectmen's meeting. They won't let us in because they've gone virtual or remote from the chairman is right here. I'm at the chairman's house. They're either ducking the questions or they're too chicken to see us. All right, well, I'm right here. I'm here at the Zoom meeting. Watch out, you're gonna get hit by a car. Cars are coming. We're right here in front of the chairman's house. We're just gonna wave to people as they come down the street. Yeah, I gotta wave. You know, oh, that comes up. All right, this is my protest to the selectmen ducking the questions. All right. Hey, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me? Why aren't you at the town hall where you should have been? It's only 2 miles from here. You should have been at the town hall. But no, you're sitting here in your house. If the guy wants to be in charge of the town, but he doesn't like the fact that too many people are talking and he doesn't like their talk, well, then get out of office. Okay? It's not just about ribbon cuttings and parades. Sometimes you have to deal with people. All right? And you're not dealing with people the right way. You know, he's on there. He's being very diplomatic and, oh, I'll let you talk for your 3 minutes and we're not going to say anything. You're not a man for the people. Did anybody notice that the man that was running his campaign lives 3 houses away from 34 Fairview? Nobody's mentioned that. I'm just gonna wave at these people. Here comes Colin, you know. Here we go. No, wasn't Colin. He'll be coming by any minute. I know he'll be coming by, you know, any minute now. People are coming by. The select board is just too chicken to face us. Jeep coming down the hill on you. Move in, move off the road. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, that's what we think. Yep. Select board is chicken. I don't think they know what's really going on here. But I'm here for the meeting. Can I come and talk? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna let me talk. Well, I'm gonna stand out here for a little while longer and see if maybe after the meeting he'll answer questions, or if he's gonna duck my questions.
Would agree with you that we got to find out who owns the building. Because the BRC, they told the BRC, the Paul Revere people told Mr. McCourt and Mr. McCarthy that they'll handle it. And that bothers me. Is it the town building? If it is, then there was a wedding there, a couple at the end of June, and the bathrooms weren't available. To me, that's unacceptable. That was a town person rented that place, and they said, okay, we'll give you two. And one, they didn't figure out how to open the door. So they had 200 people, and they couldn't use the bathrooms, which were designed. So that absolutely concerns me. And they stood up a town meeting, the Paul Revere people, said, if we get the diff, which we supported and I supported, that we'll never come back asking for anything else. But if it's a town building, and I want to get some assurances that Mr. Lynch, our director of facilities, has a key 24/7 to sewer and water department in case there's an emergency. That's the only way I'm willing to do that, and something has to be in writing. Because it just bothers me. It really does.
Okay. So before Mr. McCourt had technical difficulties, it seemed like he was okay with pushing this to the next meeting. I would like to see the spreadsheet of the numbers that he was talking about. And then here he is. Just unmute yourself, Mr. McCourt.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, if we're
Yes.
waiting for Mr. McCourt, I just want to commend him and Bob McCarthy for jumping in with both feet and doing it. Absolutely. And same thing Mr. McCourt did and Mr. McCarthy did it down at the Kennedy Field.
Yeah.
With the Crawford Field right behind the Kennedy School.
Yeah. So obviously I'm sympathetic to this project because it is very similar to the JFK. I approached this board and said I can get the BRC to do this without the contingency, but any project overrun, I'm going to need to come back. And it was less than the 10% that the contingency would have been. But these projects these days are just so outrageously expensive. So I'm not surprised that we need a little bit more to finish this up. But I just want a little bit more data before we commit to spending this, even though I'm in favor of supporting this. But I just want to get clarification on who in fact does control that.
I agree.
Okay. So, Mr. McCourt, unfortunately during the technical difficulties, we kind of agreed that we would push this until the next meeting. I certainly support this, as you know, with the JFK bathroom project. It's very, very similar, but there are just a couple of questions and some data I wouldn't mind looking at before we commit to this, but I do support the project.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next, Mr. Albert.
All right, next on the agenda, as we previously talked about, we had a discussion per the administrative code. All policies are presented at a meeting and not voted on until a future meeting. This is the speed bump policy that we discussed at a meeting before. I don't know if anybody wants to have a discussion on this.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Albert. So as Mr. Albert says, we have already received this policy. This was in our packet a couple of meetings ago. It was meant to be in our meeting last week to approve, but I apologize. I dropped the ball and it did not make it there, but it made it onto this one. So the speed hump policy should be in everybody's packet. We should have already been able to review it. So unless there are any questions or concern, we can move on to approving this policy.
All right. In that case, I move that the board approve the speed hump policy.
second,
Second. Thank
All
you.
right, so the motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
aye,
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
yes,
Mr. Conley,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Albert,
Yes, sir.
and the chair as well. The speed hump policy passes unanimously, 5-0. So, Mr. McCarthy, I do see your hand up, and I know that you are part of this discussion. So give us a second and we'll unmute you. We did just approve it, so not sure what you're going to add to this, but you're unmuted, sir. So go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. One second, sorry.
You having us wave?
I apologize for that. First of all, I'm disappointed that you didn't read the policy and you didn't ask for any public comment on the policy. I know that it was on a prior agenda, but the last agenda, you didn't do anything on it. So I expected that you were going to be discussing the policy versus voting on it. So I guess for me, I'm curious as to what the policy is.
Sure. So I will tell you that the minimum criteria, speed humps will be considered only after less intrusive traffic calming measures of education and enforcement have been rejected as infeasible or ineffective. So warning signs, regulatory signs, policing, etc. Speed humps will only be used on residential streets carrying 500 to 2,500 vehicles per day. Speed humps will be available on streets regulated at 30 miles per hour or less, and where the observed speeds, the 85th percentile, exceeded the posted limit by 8 miles per hour or more. Speed humps will not be installed on any street in the judgment of the town engineer, which there is inadequate vertical and horizontal alignment and sight distance to allow for safe installation. And speed humps will not be installed on any street that is a primary access route for emergency vehicles and would cause, in the judgment of police and fire, unacceptable delay in response time to emergencies. So there is a little bit more about resident participation. Only installed if 100% of the occupants immediately adjacent to the proposed speed hump location and 67% of the occupants of the residents in the neighborhood signing a petition request for the speed humps. All right. Go ahead, Mr. McCarthy.
They had muted me so there'd be
Yep.
no background noise, which is good. Thank you for sharing that with me. It's disappointing to hear some of that criteria. Based on what you've shared, it feels like it's a big speed hump to get over, which will mean that plenty of the streets that probably need it, that are used for aggressive cut-through, will likely not get it. So I'm disappointed on that. And I would add, just as a point, I think 100% of the abutters, or you didn't use that word, also feels a bit rigid to me. So it's disappointing to me to hear that criteria. You and I have had a couple of conversations about this at the traffic committee, et cetera. I'm pretty confident that the vast majority of the people on my street recognize that it's an unsafe street at times during the day as a result of the layout of the road, the curve in the road, and what we have on either side of us, meaning two roads that people want to figure out how to get down fast. So I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that the select board would take a higher stance on something like that. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem. So I do want to clarify, this is very consistent with what other town speed hump policies. Sharon is one that was reviewed as well. There was actually a little bit more strict But thank you for your comments. All right. Next, Mr. Albert.
All right, next on the agenda, I move that the board approve the cemetery commitments in the amount of $1,900.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden? Ms. Boyden, you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Conley, you're also muted.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
All right, next on the agenda is the vendor warrant total for the week of 7/12/2024, $3,410,190.42. Next is the payroll warrant total for the week of 7/12/2024, $328,707.83. That's for the town. The next is the payroll warrant for the week of 7/12/2024, $1,019,496.83. That's for the schools. Okay, and then next, I move that the board approve the minutes from the select board meeting of June 25th, 2024.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0.
All right, next is the town administrator update. Charlie, Mr. Duty, you have anything for us?
Muted.
I do, just a couple of items, Mr. Chair, Clerk. First up is the Norfolk County Register of Deeds, and Mr. William O'Donnell will hold office hours in Canton. They're going to be here at Town Hall in the Sala Meeting Room this Thursday, July 18th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So the registry office hours allow the Registry of Deeds to go directly, bring information directly to the residents without them needing to travel to the office. According to Mr. O'Donnell, they will take completed homestead forms back to the registry for recording. They can help locate land documents because staff will be on hand to help residents do that if they need to. And then they can obtain certified copies of land documents such as deeds and mortgage discharges. So he'll be here for a couple hours if folks want to speak to the registry of deeds. The only other item I have is, well, did you want to take the cybersecurity grant?
Yeah, so why don't we do that? So the town, this is a topic not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance. Get this approved so that we can accept this. But the town has received a $61,600 grant from the Municipal Local Cybersecurity Grant Program from the state of Massachusetts through the Office of Grants and Research in the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security. The funding was available as part of the Federal Cybersecurity Grant Program, and this grant will allow the school and the town to create and update our incident response plans and business continuity material. So, Mr. Albert, I would entertain a motion to accept the cybersecurity grant for $61,600.
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well, 5-0. So thank you very much.
The chair?
Go ahead, Mr. Duty. Anything else?
Yeah, just one comment. I just want to recognize and congratulate Lou Jutras, who was the author of that grant. I think his forethought into preparing the town for business continuity should we have a cyber attack is it's good forward thinking. So I appreciate his efforts. I also want to congratulate Jennifer Chameleon on her position as assistant town administrator. Well deserved. She's worked very hard to obtain the credentials to do that. So she's been here for 18 years, and I anticipate she will do a great job. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think 20 years, sorry.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Yeah. All right. Next, Mr. Albert?
Okay, so next is, the select board will hold its next meeting on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024, 7 PM, remotely via Zoom.
Perfect. Any other announcements from anybody on the board? All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:50 PM.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Mr. McCourt,
Yes.
Ms. Boyden,
Yes.
Mr. Conley,
Yes.
Mr. Albert,
Yes.
and the chair as well. 5-0 unanimous. Thank you, everybody, for attending and bearing with us through some of the technical difficulties. We will see you at the next meeting. Have a good night. Stay cool.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Take care.
Over here, so you don't get hit on the sidewalk. All right, I'm live. It's 7 o'clock, selectmen's meeting. They won't let us in because they've gone virtual or remote from, the chairman is right here. I'm at the chairman's house. They're either ducking the questions or they're too chicken to see us. All right, well, I'm right here. I'm here at the Zoom meeting. Watch out, you're gonna get hit by a car. Cars are coming. We're right here in front of the chairman's house. We're just gonna wave to people as they come down the street. Yeah, I gotta wave. You know, oh, that comes up. All right, this is my protest to the selectmen ducking the questions. All right, hey, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me? Why aren't you at the town hall where you should have been? It's only 2 miles from here. You should have been at the town hall. But no, you're sitting here in your house. If the guy wants to be in charge of the town, but he doesn't like the fact that too many people are talking and he doesn't like their talk, well, then get out of office. Okay? It's not just about ribbon cuttings and parades. Sometimes you have to deal with people. All right? And you're not dealing with people the right way. You know, he's on there, he's being very diplomatic and, oh, I'll let you talk for your 3 minutes and we're not going to say anything. You're not a man for the people. Did anybody notice that the man that was running his campaign lives 3 houses away from 34 Fairview? Nobody's mentioned that. I'm just gonna wave at these people. Here comes Colin, you know. Here we go. No, wasn't Colin. He'll be coming by any minute. I know he'll be coming by, you know, any minute now. People are coming by. The select board is just too chicken to face us. Jeep coming down the hill on you. Move in. Move off the road. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, that's what we think. Yep. Select board is chicken. I don't think they know what's really going on here. But I'm here. I'm here for the meeting. Can I come and talk? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna let me talk.
Allowed.
Well,
No
I'm gonna stand
chickens.
out here for a little while longer and see if maybe after the meeting he'll answer questions or if he's gonna duck my questions.
No chickens allowed tonight. I'm talking to John Como. He's outside of the Board of Selectmen, the chairman, Mike Loughran's house right now. That was live video that he just posted. He's going to actually try to StreamYard it if he gets any good reception and give us an update on what's going on outside of chairman of the Board of Selectmen, the Canton Board of Selectmen, Mike Loughran, who led a Zoom meeting tonight because they were so afraid of the public. They were so afraid that people might show up tonight. They decided to do it on Zoom, and John Como got his chicken outfit, and he's standing outside of Mike Lawford's house, who's just a little coward hiding in his house doing the select board meeting from home. Outside his window is there's John Como. It's just hilarious. I'm just laughing so hard on this. We're hoping he's calling in. We got somebody else here too in the green room. Rita Lombardi is here. She might have some friends. Let's bring up Rita Lombardi and see what she thinks about tonight. This Canton Select Board meeting that they had on Zoom. And then we'll try to get John Como on too. I think he's in the green room too. What's up, Rita Lombardi?
Hey, well, I'm here with some fellow people that were, we couldn't go to the select board, so we came to my house. And very disappointing, very disappointing. Very disappointing. I look, I love Charlie Duty. I was hopeful for Mike. I did reach out to Charlie this week, and I asked him, we talked about the public comments, how it was going to work. And I asked him if they could please extend it to 30 minutes, especially being on Zoom. And could you hear me, Mike? Oh, you want me to say that again? You got it?
No, I didn't.
And so, Charlie was going to talk to Mike. So apparently it didn't fly. And it was very uncomfortable, which I'm sure it was intended to be. It's not intended to make us comfortable. It's intended to make them comfortable. And this way they can control it. They wouldn't even put our pictures up, Mike. They wouldn't even personalize it with our pictures. And so we were just a voice that came over. And, every time I hope that we can try to make progress, they go backwards. They go backwards. And, it's the board, the mix on the board is not what we need. The mix on the board is, we have an ineffective board. We have an ineffective board, and people are seeing that. So I don't need, people are seeing that the board is ineffective. And we have two groups of people. Like I said, we have the Canton First people. Can I speak about that, Mike?
Yeah.
Can I speak about okay, let me say it. So we have two groups of people in this town. We have the entitled, emboldened townies, which we call Canton First, because everything's about them. And then we have the community at large, which is the rest of us, and we're random citizens. Now, the Canton First people, all their friends and family either work for the town or their friend, and there's no accountability for them. So, they wrote a letter last week. So in addition to Jen O'Donnell being assaulted on TV, for people to see by a retired Boston police detective, nonetheless, which I can get into that. Last week, they also wrote a letter, which I'm sure you saw on Twitter, declaring their independence from me. Can you believe it? Declaring their independence from me. These people are nuts. So I have the letter right here. And listen, I couldn't be grateful enough to them for publishing that letter. So first of all, Canton First, I know you're watching. I love you. Listen, thank you so much for publishing this letter, because with this letter, we took the trolls out of Canton Community Voices. So now the last 48 hours, boom, they cannot take our post and repost them on Canton First and put a target on us. So their group Facebook page is probably going to shrivel up now because they have nothing to put in there from our website, because we don't allow trolls. And, the interesting thing is, Mike, that, they made such a big deal about the petition that we did for special town meeting. We got over 330 signatures, and we did it all, had people come to us. We didn't even go to them. And someone signed for a family member. So there were two signatures that Chief Rafferty went out and proclaimed were fraudulent, and had her detective swoon down on citizens, asking them what methods did they use to get the signatures. And this was a family member that just said, oh, I'll put a couple other people on. And then the list that they produced, they even put minors on. They put minors. And interesting enough, we don't see McAlbert's on this list, which is pretty interesting because all these people support them.
The
But what we
Proctors are
do
on there.
see are the McAlbert's relatives from other towns. So because they couldn't put their name on, they went and put their relatives' names on to fill up those slots. So way to
People
go.
who aren't from Canton.
Yes, that's correct.
I
This
just
is
want to
because people
mention
aren't
too,
from Canton.
when you call yourself Canton first, the first thing that like I think of, and especially when they want to bring history into it, when they want to like declare independence,
Yeah.
Germany first,
Yeah.
Italy
Racist
first.
pigs. Racist pigs.
This is fascism.
That's
You're using
exactly what it is.
this is what it's about. This is what all fascists do, and it's using the government for your own personal interest. That's what fascism is. And it's great that they're letting everybody know that they're fascists. And when they say Canton first, that's xenophobic, number one. That's a history of xenophobia. And that's also a history of like the Nazi thing. Let's just be serious. That's exactly what it sounds like. They're a bunch of freaking Nazis.
That's exactly.
I want to say, Chris Albert, good luck, buddy. Good luck to be associated with those people. Mike Laughlin, haven't called it out. I want to know, does Mike Laughlin support neo-Nazis and this type of language, like this xenophobia? Mike Laughlin, are you proud to be associated and fronting for these people? Like, the silence is deafening, Mike Laughlin. JR, they say you're a good guy. I've seen, I think on the housing issue, I like JR. JR, raise your freaking voice. Stop like being whispering. Be a friggin' man. I've seen you speak up once or twice. Speak up on this subject. These people are fascist scumbags. Speak up, JR. I'm so tired of these folks not saying anything. And what is this? Trish Boyden. What do you think about Trish right now?
Major disappointment. Major disappointment. So look, I told my voters, and I'm sorry, my voters have come to me since and goes, Rita, we voted for her only because you told us to. And I said, I told you to because we needed 2 seats. And so I looked at the bigger picture. We needed 2 seats. And even if Trish wasn't the best, she was better than what we had, with the exception of JR. I do think JR is the best of the 5 of them. I do. And so Trish, a major disappointment. And my voters are sorry that they voted for her. And my voters wanted to bullet vote me. And I said, no, vote for both of us because we needed 2 seats. And so Trish has just become one of the good old boys. And, prove me wrong, Trish. I'm all for it. Prove me wrong. I'd like to see you stand up. I'd like you to see you do what you promised the voters you were going to do and speak for us. Because right now you're not speaking for us. And, it's disappointing. Now, maybe she'll turn around and maybe she won't. I don't know. But it is a major disappointment. And when I sit here and I watch the select board meeting, it's a major disappointment. It really is. And I am going to reach out to Charlie Duty because I think Charlie is the best one there. And I know Charlie has only been in the administrative role for a couple of years. So I can't blame the culture on him. I can't blame the low standards. I would say that there's no standards there. When you look at your town employees and they feel so entitled, right? Thank you, you dummies. Thank you for giving me your names, okay? They feel so entitled that this is their town. I got news for you. It ain't. It's all of our towns. And we are going to show you that it's our town too. And so we all pay taxes, we all pay taxes, and yet we do not get the protections that they get. They get, stealing a phrase from Alan Jackson, look the other way. Look the other way. This town has had so many problems that have been buried because they don't want it out. And what happens when you bury your stories, when you bury things, they get worse. They don't get better. They don't get better. When you lie about something, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. And we have a problem in this town with people lying, people in leadership positions lying. And the culture needs to change. If I'm from the private sector, right, and they probably fear me, as they probably should, because their level of performance is below standards, below standards. It needs to come up. We are all a community. This is not come to Canton, bring your money, spend it, and then get out of here because we're not interested in your opinion. That's what they are. And that, you know, what's sad to me is that what we're seeing here in Canton is a subset of what we have across this country. We are all created equal.
Yeah, the other
We
thing when
are
I think
all
when they say
children of
Kent
God.
first, I think of me first. That's
Right.
really what they mean. Me
That's
first.
what they mean.
That's exactly what they mean. Let's
Right.
bring up John. John is driving back. He just he had a chicken suit on outside of the chair, Mike Lofgren, which is so appropriate because Mike is sackless. Mike is only tough when he's shutting people's First Amendment down. Mike has no balls to stand up to the McAlberts. Mike, would you leave your balls at home in the desk like when you leave the house? Like, I just don't understand this Mike Lofgren guy, how much of a clown show he is. And John was outside his house in a chicken suit. I want to know if the cops came. Let's find out what John's got to say. John,
I'm 2 seconds from getting off at my exit now. Get rid of this light from that's in the windows. So you'll have to bear with me for a minute. I went up to town hall. I walked around town hall around 6:30. I watched John Conley leave. Charlie Doody waved to me goodbye. I took some free candy off of the desk at the front, at the front door, and then I went upstairs and there was a big sign that said, we welcome you to go look at the Zoom, and the lights were off. So I left, and I decided I'm gonna go to the chairman's house. So that's where I went, and I put on my costume, and he was right inside that front window running his little show. And I'll tell you, I watched some of that meeting. They fumbled over themselves, and they are more worried about so many other things than they are the meeting itself. They could have been at that meeting. They could have gone to town hall. That was just absurd. That was being, I don't know if I could say this if you're going to get banged, but they're just nothing but big pussies.
Good word for it. I mean, let me ask you this. Did the cops come when you were outside of the
No, but could you imagine that phone call? Hello, officer, can you come? There's a giant chicken in my front yard. Like, what cop's going to respond to that?
It has to be a rubber ducky to get the cops.
I know.
So if something happens to me, I have to have a rubber ducky.
Now you also.
I had the duck in the car too. I was approached by the cops on that one though.
I was going to ask you. You went into town with the rubber ducky. Did you get?
Oh yeah.
What happened with that?
So I'm going to pull over right now. So
listen, I got the ducky. I got the ducky.
So duckies are apparently illegal downtown now because Chris Albert. They make them afraid.
So my goal was just to go into town with, I bought a couple hundred ducks, and I was just they don't say anything on them. They just random ducks, and I was going to pass them out to people. And that was my goal, is to bring cheer to the town during the pub crawl. So I was probably out there maybe 15 minutes. I took some pictures with some people, and then it was hot. So we went to the waterfall. I barely sat down at the waterfall when I got alerted that there were cops right outside. So rather than them come in, I wanted to go see what was going on. So I walked out. I knocked on the officer's window. He rolled it down about 2 inches. I asked him if he wanted a duck. I said, would you like a duck? I have a duck. We had a quick conversation, and that was it. I went back. It wasn't until I went to go get my next 100 did the police approach me. And he's one of the better guys. So I'm not going to name who it was. Let's just say he's a really good officer. And he basically, I think he drew the short straw by saying, hey, I know him. I'll go talk to him. So there was obviously a meeting where they said someone's going to go approach the duck. So he came over and we had a talk, and I told him exactly what I was doing, because they didn't want to give me a littering charge. They didn't want to catch me throwing ducks in the street or leaving ducks anywhere. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to pass out these ducks to people that want them. If no one wants them, I'm not going to force them on them. I'm going to pass out the ducks, have a good time, and I'm going to go home. And at one point, there were 4 cruisers going back and forth through the center.
I saw them. I saw
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, all for a
They
duck.
did a vet- let's get this
Ducks.
out there because people are asking, like, what's up with the ducks? Sean McDonough's been reporting that they investigated someone for handing out ducks. Is that true? Rubber ducks? And why are people handing out rubber ducks?
I saw all the same thing as you, and that's why I decided I'm like, I'm gonna get in on this duck thing. I'm gonna go pass out some ducks. That's all I did.
They did.
Yeah.
Somebody left a yellow rubber ducky that said Colin did it on the bottom, right? And on the bench outside D&E. And so, and you know, I think there were ducks other places too, and there were 2 search warrants. So this is a long time. He used to live in Canton. Now he lives in Stoughton. You know, Canton and Stoughton, they're rivals, you know? And so he lives in Stoughton, but he does his business in Canton. He's been doing business in Canton for over 50 years. He's done business for me. He's a wonderful guy. And because Chris didn't like the duck, because, Alan Jackson said it walks like a duck, and it is a duck. Of course, we know it's a duck. Chris did his little ding-a-ling and called his friends and family, because let's face it, Chris Albert runs this town. And he called and they issued 2 search warrants. And they went to this person's place of business with his customers there. And he had, they went through his truck. And I believe the first search, they didn't find anything. They were looking for rubber duckies and they were looking for fake $100 bills. Now, the reason he had fake $100 bills is because the Canton First people, I love this branding. The Canton First people,
The Canton
said
fascists.
that we were getting paid to stand out for Karen Reed. So, every time they accuse us of something, we do it. And so they said that, we were getting paid. So then we got fake $100 bills. This person got the fake $100 bills.
Rita, you got paid?
Yeah, I got paid. I do have my fake $100 bills over here.
I didn't get paid for my security.
And they checked his GPS to see if they checked the GPS in his truck to see if they could tie Karen Reed to Turtle Boy. So they're still on this Karen Reed and Turtle Boy conspiracy because they have nothing else. Turtle Boy didn't make up the facts of the case. Turtle Boy just shared the facts of the case, but they want everybody to believe that he made them up and that he's in cahoots with Karen Reed, who did not kill John O'Keefe. And so they searched his GPS and then they didn't find anything. A week later, they came back and they found a little plastic bag. Who's that bag? A little plastic bag, probably like this. And this is what they scored. This is what they scored. So the Canton police went to this guy's business, right, to look for rubber duckies. I got news for you. Just come here. I got them. Okay, if you want them, I'm going to you. Okay? And I got cameras too, and my cameras do not delete footage. Okay, so my cameras do not delete footage. So if you try to steal my rubber duckies, I'm gonna get you. And but that's what they did. And so this is what we're doing with the taxpayers' money. And again, John's outside D&E Pizza, and he's trying to spread cheer and giving beautiful color rubber duckies to all the people that are walking the streets in Canton, because we want Canton to be a destination place. And so
when I went into the waterfall, there were so many teenagers, kids in there. And I mean, I was handing them out and they were trading them at one point. They're like, hey, can I have that? I'm like, yeah. They're like, have the blue one, have the pink one. I'm like, absolutely. I mean, I don't understand why everybody, then the next day I absolutely loved it when they get so upset at me for the simplest things.
It's for happiness, just like,
I love it.
They call us a mindless, angry mob. That's not us. That's them.
They're angry about rubber ducks.
Right. And then we're standing out for Karen while she's in court for 10 weeks, cheering her on, because let's face it, since we all knew her name, they did nothing but destroy her as a human being to justify their actions of framing her, and what we did was we cheered on an innocent woman. That's what we did with the pom-poms and everything else.
And she's still innocent.
And she's still innocent.
Still innocent.
He's still innocent. And so they, you know, when we stood out and we made our own signs, they said that we were getting paid to stand out, and then the signs were paid for, which was not true. Then they called us an angry mob. The only thing that they said is true is we were out there with pom-poms and we're having a good time. That is true. That is true. We are exercising our First Amendment rights to stand up for Karen Reed and to cheer on the defense, because you know what, folks? This is like a sporting event. This is truth against gaslighting.
Well, protesting takes every form. You can protest in any form you want. That's their problem. Their problem is they're mad at the way people are protesting. We're protesting happy. We're not burning. We don't have torches and pitchforks, right? We got pom-poms and ducks. And that's what they have the problem with. They have the problem.
The problem is they're losing. That's the real problem.
Well, they're gonna lose. You know what? They're gonna lose because they're losers.
Yeah, they keep losing. Like when they put out this hack stuff, me first. That's what they put this letter out. Someone had a good question about the me first letter. They say it's Canton first. It's really me first. I'm glad you brought that up, Rita.
And it's me only. It's me only, really, is what it is. Me only. Me, my family, friends.
None of you, no one else matters except me and my friends, and that's it.
So
my family members. And this gang that they have. This is a question that came in about that letter, because I found the letter online. One of the trolls posted it, and I reposted it. Got shared around a lot, but I don't know. Did they send that letter to anyone? Like,
so Paul McAlbert is proudly an author. Nick Corkery is proudly an authher.
Of course he is.
Fiscal is proudly an
shady
author.
Nick. Nick is like one of the shadiest. I don't know anything about him. Just the way you act, Nick, you look shady as F. There's something about you that is so shady. If Paul's not bad enough, I mean, Paul chewing his gum, but there's something really weird about that.
He's the type of guy that says, "I'm not a racist, but." You know?
He's a racist.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they're all racist. They're all racist. They're all white male superiority. That's what it is.
Me first.
They can't stand women.
Me first.
Right. And when women are intelligent and women speak out, they cower and they can't handle it. And
what do you think? I want to ask Sean about this, because we talked about this with Rita a second ago. I'm sure she's going to want to follow up, but none of them, you know, JR, you know, Mike Loughran, you were just outside his house. Why haven't they called this out?
So
they like the attack in Rita.
I will say there were rumors that Trish did speak up against the Zoom meeting. They're unconfirmed, but there's been some rumors that she was trying to not have it. But this was all at Mike Loughran's doing. He's the chair, and this is what he decided. None of them are speaking out because they all want to be a united front.
John. So they're having non-public meetings deciding how to run the meeting.
Yep.
That seems like not following
protocol.
State law. They're making decisions behind closed doors that don't need to be made. I mean, it's one thing when you do an executive session because you're protecting employees.
Or a contract.
There's nothing they're protecting. There's nothing that can't be done in public. So that seems like someone from Canton should file.
The fact that they were all there at town hall for the executive meeting at 4:00, and then they all went out and they all left. I mean, Duty waved to me on his way out, just to go home, to go back onto a meeting. That tells you what a bunch of cowards they are.
And what about the fact that they don't call any of this stuff out against, like Rita, for instance, Sean?
That I can't speak to. We already know what Chris isn't going to do. All right. And we already know what Mike Loughran's not going to do. And we already know what John Conley is not going to do. I mean, John Conley, the only thing he's good for is a hot mic moment. All right. That's all we got. And Chris, I love watching him try to read everything that he's going.
Yeah, I think we just lost John.
Go ahead, Rita.
Yeah. No, so it's just they make it worse. Everything they make it worse. Last week did not have to happen, and You know, it did not have to happen. You know, Jen went over 23 seconds. It did not have to spiral out of control. And what the audience did not realize is Jen was being heckled, and
Yep.
they allowed it. And then I was getting heckled, you know, and then I went back, as people saw, you know, and then I stopped, you know, but they went there for one purpose and one purpose only. And that was to disrupt and terrorize us and to bully us. And that's what they did. They're bullies. That's all. They didn't go there to speak. They don't have guts to speak. They don't have
No,
anything
they're there just for Chris. They're there to support
Yes, they
him and make him feel safe and good. And yeah,
Right.
that's all that is.
It's, you know, it really, you know, and when I say Chris Albert runs his time, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't know what it is. I think they feel for him because he's like the little brother that, you know, maybe like the little train that could but couldn't. I don't know. But, you know, there's something about Chris that I think they feel that they have to help him with. And so therefore, they bail his ass out of everything. And let me share this because I got some information. So in 1994, because it's amazing the people that I meet. And in 1994, you know, when he got into that fatal car accident, I found out from someone who was in the know that the first person he called in the middle of the night was Mike Lank. And Mike Lank called his father, who's a sergeant at the Milton Barracks. And that was, so Mike Lank, they grew up together. They have been together.
Of course they did. We all graduated together. Yep.
Yeah. And they have been friends since then. So they're like brothers. They're like brothers. And Mike Lank has been bailing him out of trouble since at least that fatal accident. And I also heard that the poor victim, when Chris rammed the back of his car, the poor victim went out the rear of the car, smashed into a rock wall, and went back through the car. And the passenger was pulled out, and her collarbone got broken because that was the only way to get her out before the car caught flames. But Chris had no problem riding away and leaving that horrific scene. And the
hiding for 2 days.
Was Mike
Day and a
Lank.
half. Yep.
And we all know that the files from 1994 in the Attleboro court are missing, and they will never be found.
It's amazing how things all go missing when they need them to.
When there's an Albert involved or a McCabe involved.
And then the Lank Lollapalooza, those Lollapalooza brothers or whatever, however you say that. Yeah,
Lollapaloozas. Yep.
Like that whole thing too. Like I think that Chris and Lank actually stopped talking after that because it's like another incident where Chris brought his shit into Mike Lank's life, but then Mike Lank bailed him out again. So
Right. You know, Mike Lank, you know, activated himself as a police officer, a drunken one at best. But of course, you know, police officers get drunk and they lose their, you know, the detectives, the sergeants, the lieutenants, they get drunk and they leave their guns and they leave their badges in someone else's, you know, state vehicle. And then they say, put it in the mailbox. I mean, what kind of irresponsible behavior is that?
It wouldn't have been as bad if he said, yeah, put it in your locker, because at least it's locked. But the fact that he said, just put it in my mailbox. I mean, what if somebody got there? What if the postman got there before he did?
Right. But even so, he shouldn't have been drunk in a Mass State Cruiser.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and with his police equipment. I mean, he shouldn't be there, you know, and so, you know, it's just these people have been running lawless, in my opinion. And based on what we're seeing, you know, there's no consequences. We do not have leadership. What we just had in the select board meeting is lack of leadership.
Yeah.
What we have in the police department is lack of leadership.
Absolutely.
After everything that's happened. After everything
that meeting tonight, I didn't get to watch all of it, but for a couple of minutes I watched it. The part that they were talking about the speed bumps. They knew David McCarthy wanted to speak on this. They totally forget. They vote on it. Then they allow him to speak. You can't change your vote. They didn't even read until he asked them, hey, well, what is going to be the rule? They read it, and then he has to speak about like how hard it is to be able to fix it. Like, they are so worried about everything else that they can't even get the normal things done right. They should have been up at town hall. They should have done it the right way. He would have been able to be up at a microphone. They would have seen him at a microphone. He would have been able to talk. And even if they voted the same exact way as they always were gonna anyways, at least it would have given the optics that they did it the right way.
Right,
No,
and I
after
raised my
every-
hand
Yeah.
after Dave.
After
and they did not
everything that's
call me.
happened, right? No police chief. Where the hell is Helena Rafferty? You got
Well,
you
he
got
was
this
Gillette
cop
picking up a
suspended.
detail.
You got all
Well,
this.
no, there was an incident at the town club, so.
Since when? When's the last time we heard from Helena Rafferty in public?
We don't.
Oh, you're not gonna.
We don't. You know, this is concert season, so I'm sure there's plenty of details she can
Yep.
do at Gillette Stadium. So here
Wednesday
we are-
night, there's gonna be something.
Yep. And here we are, a town in crisis, right? And I don't want people to think this isn't a personal attack on Helena. I don't know Helena, right? This is leadership. You're either a leader or you're not, and she's not. You know, we have a town in crisis. We have been asking to get together, and this is what we get. And you know, and then her contract goes through for a year just to get her to her 3 years on the job, so she
For
can get-
retirement.
Yeah,
Yep.
for the retirement. You know,
Right.
that's what that's all about. You know, rather than the disarray that this town is in because of the lack of leadership in the police department, which was clearly on exhibit in the court when her officers testified, their gross negligence at best of handling that murder investigation. So, you know, she's busy collecting details, as much money as she can before she retires next year with her 3-year pension as the chief. And that's just not how it goes. We need to start treating our government like a business. And I'm going to tell you something else. There's a, and I know they're listening, so listen up. You know, there is a modernization committee, and they put out to have, you know, volunteers for the modernization committee, and that's to bring the standards and automate the standards. I've done that for 40 years in a leadership capacity. I told them I've done this for 40 years. They know I've done it. You know, I've turned around areas in record time, increased operational efficiencies, saved the company money, and earned the company millions of dollars. That's just what I have done for 40 years. I volunteered for it. You know what? They picked one person who I know, she's a good businesswoman. I know her. They picked Paul McAuliffe, who is a correctional officer. Okay. And he's part of the Canton First. And then they picked somebody else who I don't know, but they didn't pick me. They don't really want to modernize. They just want to go through the motions to make it look like they did. And, you know, I'm in my semi-retirement life now, and I have been for about 6 or 7 years now. I'm not in the leadership roles anymore, and I love what I do, you know, and I keep that to myself. But, you know, here I am volunteering my time to really make a difference in this town, to really help us with operational efficiencies, to save this town money on taxes, to reduce operational costs. And they picked Paul McAuliffe over me.
It's just how that goes.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't hire that guy to run.
Rita, it's just how it goes. You'll know it was over 10 years ago that they closed off a section of entrance that for 40, 50 years, 60 years, people used to put their boats into the res. And all of a sudden it was a danger. Then they put no parking on the side of the street because they didn't want people sitting on the wall of the res because they didn't like them fishing off the wall. Then they tried to make only abutters allowed boats on the res. And what happened was there was a res committee, and I researched it. They had not met in over a year, and nobody knew this. I went and I'm like, nobody's written, and there was vacancies. So I tried to get on the res committee. What did they do? They started meeting. They put someone else on the committee, and I got cable to start filming it so that we could see what they were actually doing about it. They had to meet at Pequot side. They didn't even know what to do because they hadn't had meetings in over a year. They didn't even know how to run their meeting, and everybody on the committee lived around the res. So it was fighting. I'll tell you, the one great thing Tom Theodore did was he took that whole thing and ran with it, and he cleaned up the whole Earl New House, and they put grills down there and picnic tables down there, and they got the little boat launch in there. but we had to fight them the whole way. He had to fight John Conley the whole way because John Conley didn't want it. So
Yeah.
even if you have 1 or 2 people on that committee, until you get John Conley off that committee, he runs the show.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
And on the res, you got the guy who owns Prestige gas
Yep.
and car wash, and he builds this monstrous house, doesn't care
No
about
permits,
his neighbors,
brought in loom in the middle of the night,
makes it look like he's in New Hampshire.
put
okay?
a fence on,
And-
yep, put a fence up on town property. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
And it's an eyesore as you drive by. You think it's like this guy thinks he's in New Hampshire, which is fine and good, but you have to go through the process to do this. And so he just did what he wanted to and then said, oops, I'm sorry, and probably made some donations to the mitigation fund so he gets the tax write-off of the donations that he gives us. And, he gets to have his house the way he wants it. People just can't do that. I have a house up the street. I know who owns it. You know who owns it. Well, you know what? And I'm just going to say, well, I better not, but, additions get put on houses that look more like townhouses. But, people do what they want.
That's
In-law
why they
apartments.
call it, me
Yeah,
first.
in-law apartments. It looks like
That's
an
why they
in-law
call it
apartment
me
because the
first.
in-laws live there. But, we know that, that family is part of the Canton First group. As a matter of fact, that family's mother, yes, I'm talking to you, Mrs. Proctor, you were part of the group that encouraged the people, the Canton First people, to go to the select board meeting last Tuesday and raise a ruckus because I saw you post. Okay, so disgraceful for you. And that's disgraceful.
These
And,
me first people.
You have enough problems with your son. You don't have to cause more havoc in this town. Your son and your family has caused enough.
Well, if they're going down, they want to take anyone and everyone they can to go
Yeah.
down with them. That's how it is.
And all
But I'll
5
tell
of
you,
the Mass State Police vehicles.
that ship is sinking. That ship is sinking, and the
Right.
rats are going to be jumping off real soon.
Right. It's not right. It's all about them. They do what they want. But here she is. She's got enough worries. Courtney is sending out letters telling people to save her brother's ass. Give me a break, Courtney. Give me a break. Your brother's getting what he deserves. And you, Courtney, the language you use as a special education teacher, you should be ashamed of yourself. Ashamed of yourself. And but this is what they do. I'm entitled. Save my brother. He wrote this disgusting language and they looked at his personal text messages, which they never should have done because they see what a raunchy ass he is.
So
Yes,
I got a
he needs to
question.
go.
I got a question. If he was texting his buddies, even if it's on his personal phone, on
Yeah.
that very first day, how did he already know so much about her?
Exactly.
Jen,
Because they had all, here's what happened. Here's the lowdown,
Exactly.
right? Karen was sectioned, and they're all back at the O'Keefe's house strategizing. How are we going to pin this on Karen? And so by the time Karen got back to the O'Keefe's house, the strategy was already the plan was already in motion. They say Karen didn't spend any time with the children. The first thing Karen wanted to do was go see the kids. And when she got there, the kids were taken into a room with Mrs. O'Keefe and the door was shut behind them so Karen couldn't get in. And then the rest of them gave her the cold shoulder. So why did Karen leave after 30 minutes? You've got it right there. They took the kids
knew.
and they put them in a room with the door closed so she couldn't have access to them. And everybody else
Meanwhile, they're telling Proctor every little thing all the little dirt about Karen that they could.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Whether it was Higgins, whether somebody informed Proctor for him to know that much right off the bat.
This is not their first rodeo. This
No.
is not their first rodeo. And Sandra Birchmer probably wasn't the first one either. And isn't it something that Craig Casey, the body that the car accident that the
body they didn't find.
the driverless car that got into a car accident.
Yeah, they
and
didn't find the
police
body.
Can't find the body, and then a passerby says, "Hey, that looks like a dead man over there," and calls the police station, and then they come back and they go, "Well, Helena Rafferty says, well, it would have made a difference to his survival."
And that footage is missing
What kind of
too.
response is
The
that?
dash cam footage is also missing there too.
Everything's missing. So in Canton,
I wonder what the feds are investigating, huh?
right.
Yeah.
This is why
Me
she doesn't want
first.
body cameras. What's the point
Me
of getting
first.
body cameras?
Yeah.
when
Oh,
you
they'll
have
just make it disappear. they'll just
Right.
make it disappear. But they get their floor cameras, so they got you coming and going.
Oh, they got the flock cameras. They know exactly where we are.
Yeah, they got that going. They can get the
So-
cameras going to record Turtle Boy, but they
Real-
can't
real
get anything
quickly,
else done.
Real quickly, because I want to run in and let my dog out. I'm pledging that is as long as Mike Loughran decides to do these meetings remotely,
Yeah,
I'm going to be in front of his house for every meeting.
yeah. Well, we're
I'm
also
telling
gonna
you
be-
right now.
We're also going to be checking our resources too, because we have had enough.
I
We
hope
have had
people
enough,
show up. I
you
hope
know,
people
and
join
I
you.
am going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out
I
to
invite
Kelly.
anybody, if there's a remote meeting for the next select board meeting, I invite anybody to come with me. I will bring some refreshments and cookies, and we can all stay. As long as we're out there moving around, we're fine. We
Bring
can
some
all be out
duckies.
there.
Rubber duckies will be there.
Absolutely. We're going to be in front of that house on Norfolk Street.
How about everybody first instead of just me
Yeah.
first? How about
Right.
everybody? How about everybody?
How about just welcome everybody?
Yeah.
Right? How about just
How about
welcome
that, Chris
everybody?
Albert? How about that, Mike Loughran? This is what pisses me off. None of these guys have the balls to even speak about what
No.
they were doing to you last week. The heckling, the
It was
hurarassment,
terrible.
just showing
So,
up to harass people.
I will say on that note too, the police officer that came up to speak to me, Jen O'Donnell was there, and he turned to her, and it was the most sincere apology I've seen from anyone in this whole thing. And he said, I am truly sorry for what happened to you at the last meeting. And
Yes.
I was like, wow. I'm like that, and so that was a nice little thing that they had together there.
Was it
Yes.
the same
And I
officer
wanna
or a different
say
officer?
He's from Braintree.
I'm not gonna describe who this
Well, they
officer
know who
was,
it
but
is. They know who
wasn't the
they
same one,
dispatched.
though?
They know who they dispatched.
It wasn't the same one who grabbed her, though, right?
no, it was a different
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
This guy is exactly what we need in the policing today. He
Absolutely.
has compassion, he has personality, and he has good listening skills. Okay.
Yeah.
And he has dialogue with us, and we work together the same way I worked together with the Mass State Police when the 10 weeks that Karen was at court and we were all outside of the court. We work together, communicating. What we have here in this town is not that. It's like they want us to go away and not disturb their little kingdom. Why their kingdom of running this town and terrorizing those who say, no, we're in this town too. Those days are over. We have 24,000 citizens in this town, 18,000 voters in this town, and we pay the taxes. This is our town. It should be a collaborative effort with the community, not what we have right now. This isn't even top down. This is like they can't even manage. Top down gives you good, maybe it's good stuff, I don't know, but this is like they're all over the board. They're all over the board. No accountability, nothing.
Well, Rita, thank you for everything you did today.
And thank you, John.
I'm gonna sneak off right now, but Mike,
Yes.
right before I leave, you know what's gonna happen.
What's gonna happen?
Take off your shirt. You're gonna take off.
Here you go. All right, guys, come on. All
We
right.
can't see it. Oh, there we go. We can see a little
There
bit
you
of
go.
the chest.
And
There you go.
somebody has something for you, John. Somebody has something for you right here.
Yeah.
A little
He
rubber
always gets
ducky.
naked for me.
Look at John.
John always takes off his shirt for us.
Oh, does he? Is that what he does?
Oh, every time.
John, you're so kind. You're so kind to the viewers.
I have to let my dog out. My poor dog.
Let you go take care of
All
it.
right, bye, guys.
Thank you, John.
See you later, John.
John always has to take off his shirt for us.
Does
Someone
he?
said, "Oh my God, nasty." One of the guys. Yeah, we don't. Us guys aren't really as impressed with the shirt off, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you like it, Rita? Did you enjoy John with his shirt off? Apparently,
I'm here
Jennifer
with three
McCabe liked it.
women, three non-Canton first people, we welcome everybody, Canton people. We have to come up with a name for us. I think, we're the welcoming.
Welcome everybody.
Yes, we welcome everybody. Everybody is welcome in this town. And all we ask is that you obey the laws and, pick up after yourself. And we'll get along, you know? Yeah, and, you know, enjoy a duck. And,
No loitering
you know, if you do something wrong, accept the consequences like an adult.
Do you
You
have that on replay, or is someone else repeating everything you're saying? I'm like hearing it
No,
back.
I think I got peanut gallery going on.
Yeah, I think so.
This is what happens to us when they do a Zoom call and they don't let us talk. You know, they make us crazy, and I hope that they enjoyed it, because it really didn't look well on them. It really didn't. It didn't
looked
help them.
horrible.
Yeah.
So weak. So
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know why they can't sit down and talk. We're not looking to talk about the case that's happening in court. We're looking to talk about communication. We're looking to talk about what we can do to bring us back together. That's what we want to do. We want to make this town the best that it can be. We want Canton to be a destination town. Why shouldn't it be? We have CF McCarthy's, we have Waterfall, and we have 34 Fairview, where, you know, you can get murdered. If
I mean,
you-
I gotta say,
we
Rita,
could have a murder mystery.
I'm an out of towner. I
Right.
would love
So you
to go
wouldn't
to
want to
CF.
be here if there's a murder, because it's going to get
Yeah.
pinned on you.
I know, and I would love to go check out. Seriously, like it's a joke, but it's not. Like
It's
I would love
not.
to go to CF McCarthy's.
It's
I'd love to
not.
check out. I don't dare to go there.
Yeah.
I know that there's a target on my back. I show up in
Yeah.
that town, especially
No,
not
I
from
think
being there.
CF McCarthy's is very nice. It's the people.
I
that
know,
go
but
inside.
you don't know who's outside. You don't
Well,
know
it's not
about
who's
the
outside, it's who's in the
police.
bar.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Aiden. Aiden was there, and Julie Nagel and her brother were at the bar, and they were probably texting Chris. And Chris, as frightened as he is of Turtle Boy, came outside. So I mean, if he's frightened of Turtle Boy, I don't know why he went outside, because he knows he was in CF McCarthy's. But he did. But then he was so brave that he told Aiden, who he's frightened of, that if he could, he would smash his head down the street of Washington Street.
And that was okay. I mean,
And
all he
that's
had to do was
okay. Yeah,
read
that's
off
not
a
a
little
threat.
apology and say, "Bob, I'm
Oh, no.
really sorry, but I got bullied."
Right. That's not
I
a
mean,
threat. Right.
That's why I don't feel I don't feel safe in Canton, and I think
I
a
don't
lot of
blame you.
people
I don't blame
don't feel safe in that town.
Right.
And that's not because of you, Rita. That's
Yeah.
because of the me first people. The
Right.
me first people have made that town unsafe.
Right. The Canton First people have me first. Yep. And they have, and then, my little peanut gallery here. So, and Chris only apologized for two things, the two most recent things. And can I just comment on that, Mike? You know how I like to comment on stuff. So Chris, I have a whole list of things that Chris Albert, as select board meeting, has done that have been inappropriate. Starting with the waterfall last July, followed by outbursts, there's a whole slew of things, but he found only the need to apologize for the two most recent. He didn't own what he did. He blamed it on the stress of him being harassed. And it's not harassed when you have a guilty conscience. Harassment and guilty conscience are two different things. They might feel the same, but they're not the same. And, and I'd like to know what Chris is going to do differently to change his behavior, because he didn't tell us what he's going to do differently. And most importantly, he is not only representing the town of Canton, he's representing his family and his son, Colin, and his son, Dylan, I think it is, that were outside of D&E Pizza when Aiden was there. I was there. And the language that was coming out of their mouths is atrocious. And I also know that Colin drives by the people that are peacefully protesting, holding signs that they paid for themselves, that they did their own artwork on it. And they are, and Colin drives by and gives the middle finger and shouts profanities. They even called me the C word when they drove by. I think that was Jilly, but I'm not sure. It was a female. So it was Jill, because maybe Jill or Jen McCabe. I really don't know. And you know what? If that's the best they got to call me, have a party. And then Chris cheers at calling that on, So I don't know how Chris is going to change his behavior when he still, exhibits it with his kids. This is what they are. They're bullies. They're bullies. They've been bullies their whole life. If you talk to people that went to school with these people, they are bullies. They have never stopped bullying. And people have had enough of their bullying. It's enough. So Chris teaches his kids how to be bullies, even though they're young adults now. He continues to show that kind of behavior. So, you know, he not only has to change his own behavior, he has to encourage his children to change their behavior and his wife. And I just don't see it coming. Although, you know, maybe there's a hope for Julie. I mean, I know she likes bukkake. And you know, maybe there's hope, you know, because if she can say bukkake, she might be able to learn something. But you know, they cannot treat people like that. So, you know, it's just a matter of time before Chris does it again. It's just a matter of time. And I want to say, I see people making comments and they're hoping that I see them, and I do see them, and I'll go back and rewind. And I appreciate everything you guys say, because we all appreciate it. You know, you all are like the wind beneath our wings. You keep us going, your support. We love it so much. And we know together we're going to get out of this, and we're going to help everyone else that's in similar situations. We're going to lead the way and help us all out of this, where we are in this crossroads right now with this country.
Got a question about Jim Ferris and Jill Daniels, their court appearances. Do you know anything about that? Are they actually going to court?
I don't, but they were successfully, you know, summons, I guess, you know, because of that incident. So Aiden would have the information on that. And I'm sure they have connections in Stoughton Court, because, you know, that's what they do. And we actually, Jen O'Donnell is going to court Thursday at 10 o'clock. So if anybody wants to come and support Stoughton District Court, I will be there with her at 10 o'clock for this bogus cell phone ticket that was given to her by Brendan Healy, who owns Absolute Landscaping. So she was driving. She was not on her phone. She has a 2024 car, and it doesn't allow her to answer her phone. And it comes over on the speaker. But he, you know, like the others in the town, are trying to terrorize her. And, you know, that's what people saw last week. This is what they have done to her. But Jen stands strong, because Jen's a strong woman, and they are not. They're women, but they're not strong. And so, you know, they can't do that. And, you know, it's just, you know, they terrorize people. This is domestic terrorism. That is
What day is that? Stoughton District Court?
Thursday.
So people can go Thursday morning? When?
Yes, Thursday at 10 o'clock at Stoughton District Court. And Jen is going in there. She has appealed the ticket or asked for a hearing. And so we are hopeful that they will do the right thing. If not, this is just another abuse of power. And the abuse of power needs to stop. It needs to stop. It just does, because it doesn't work that way. This is what we call America. We do not have abuse of power. And if we do, we fix it. So people either, you know, do what they need to do, you know, or, you know, we'll look to see how we can get the representation that we need. So the choice is really up to them. Do their job, or we will find a way to get the representation that we need legally.
Excellent. Monday is court for Karen Reed at what, 2 p.m. I believe it is.
You know, that's what I've heard. And then Court TV said 2 o'clock or 9 o'clock, which, you know, they just, I don't know. I'm not.
I know the McAlbert seems to think
not
9
a fan
o'clock
of that
too.
show.
We'll see. Maybe it changes. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so I think they had wrong information, but you know, whatever. So yeah, so court is Monday. I believe it's 2 o'clock. I will be there, and I'm sure as many others. And the plan is, you know, because only so many people are going to be able to get into court, and that's okay, because we have found a new way to support Karen on the sidewalk. And so, you know, whether it's in front of the court or whether we go back and the church welcomes us not on the sidewalk, on that public sidewalk, you know, we can do it again, however long the hearing is, and listen to it outside and watch it outside. So if, you know, people can get in, great. If people can't get in, party on the sidewalk.
You got the echo effect. All right. Thank you so much for being
Yes.
here tonight, Rita.
Sorry. Thank you so
Tell your
much,
friends
Mike.
hello too.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. We're all Canton peeps.
All right. Hello,
But we're not
Canton.
Canton first. We're the welcoming. We welcome everybody. We are the welcome you crowd. We got to give ourselves a name, but we're not that me Canton first.
Yeah, we're not the me first crowd.
Exactly. Hey, thanks a lot. Thank everybody for your support. We really appreciate it. We are going to prevail. We are going to recover from this, and we are going to be an awesome town. Believe me, it's going to happen.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Stay safe tonight. There's going to be some thunderstorms and maybe even
Yes.
tornadoes coming through like in the next
Okay.
hour or so here. So,
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know. And you stay cool too. And
You
good
too.
to see you, Mike. Thanks for
you
having me
too.
on.
Thank you,
Okay.
Rita.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Have a great night.
You too.
That's Rita Lombardi from Canton giving us an update. What a joke, though. Me first. That's what it is. They call themselves Canton first. Me first. That's all those folks are. Every single one of them. Every single one of those jokers who signed that. They talk about history. They don't know their history. If they knew their history, they wouldn't be using that language. I want to close with John Como. If you haven't seen it yet, the Canton Select Board tonight decided that they wouldn't allow their citizens to attend or speak in person at the Canton Select Board meeting as usual. They decided that it would be Zoom only. And as I predicted right before they went live, I said it would be a fiasco, that they would have technical issues, that they would look like more they'd look even more jackass than they already are. And it all turned out to be true. They look like extreme cowards. They can't speak up when these goons come in and heckle people while they're speaking, but they'll shut down everyone from showing up at the next meeting. I mean, just cowardly. Cowardly. So John Como decided to go to the chairman's house and do a one-man protest in the chicken suit while he was holding the Canton Select Board meeting from his house. John decided to show up in his chicken costume. He said he's going to go back every time they do the Zoom bullshit. So if they do it next meeting, I think everyone should show up outside their houses. And why just leave it to Mike? Why not do it to Trish Boyden? Why not do it to Chris Albert? Oh, wait, you can't do it to Chris because he's a witness. You might get in trouble. So don't go to Chris Albert's house. But the rest of them, you can easily go do a little protest in front of their house. That's what these cowards deserve. So I'm going to close it. We're going to close the show with John in the chicken suit from outside the chairman's house, Mike Loughran. Weak Mike Loughran. Weak Mike Loughran, who can't stand up for women when they're being harassed, who won't say anything. Mike is weak. He's not like Lucky, his brother. Mike is just a weak sack of shit. Basically it. I'm trying not to be mean, but the truth is the truth. He's got all these me first people. And you don't call it out, Mike? You're just as bad as them, Mike Loughran. You know what these people are about. John's got balls. This is what somebody that actually cares about the hometown they grew up in John Como, he actually gives a shit. Look at this. What Mike Lawford doesn't actually give a shit about.
All right, I'm live. It's 7 o'clock, selectmen's meeting. They won't let us in because they've gone virtual or remote from, the chairman is right here. I'm at the chairman's house. They're either ducking the questions or they're too chicken to see us. All right, well, I'm right here. I'm here at the Zoom meeting. Watch out, you're gonna get hit by a car. Cars are coming. We're right here in front of the chairman's house. We're just gonna wave to people as they come down the street. Yeah, I gotta wave. You know, oh, we got thumbs up. All right, this is my protest to the selectmen ducking the questions. All right. Hey, Mr. Chairman, can you hear me? Why aren't you at the town hall where you should have been? It's only 2 miles from here. You should have been at the town hall. But no, you're sitting here in your house. If the guy wants to be in charge of the town, but he doesn't like the fact that too many people are talking and he doesn't like their talk, well, then get out of office. Okay, it's not just about ribbon cuttings and parades. Sometimes you have to deal with people. All right, and you're not dealing with people the right way. You know, he's on there. He's being very diplomatic and, oh, I'll let you talk for your 3 minutes and we're not going to say anything. You're not a man for the people. Did anybody notice that the man that was running his campaign lives 3 houses away from 34 Fairview? Nobody's mentioned that. I'm just gonna wave at these people. Here comes Colin, you know. Here we go. No, wasn't Colin. He'll be coming by any minute. I know he'll be coming by, you know, any minute now. People are coming by. The select board is just too chicken to face us. Jeep coming down the hill on you. Move in. Move off the road. There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, that's what we think. Yep. Select board is chicken. I don't think they know what's really going on here. Well, I'm here for the meeting. Can I come and talk? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to let me talk. Well, I'm going to stand out here for a little while longer and see if maybe after the meeting he'll answer questions or if he's going to duck my questions.
All right. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I want to just warn everyone, really bad weather expected coming through Eastern Massachusetts right now. So if you haven't, roll up your windows, buckle down, get your animals inside. If you got some dogs, just I'd be careful on the roads right now for the next hour or two here. Looks like we're going to get some really bad weather. Some people have lost power. So just buckle down. Weather warning. Bad weather, storms coming through. Have a great night. I'll see you soon, everyone. Good night.